Injuring two others in Centurion, south of Pretoria. The motorist allegedly ran away, leaving a vehicle and a passenger after the fatal accident. Our reporter Sipho Stuurman joins us now from Pretoria. Sipho, so what is the latest that we're hearing? Police have put out an alert for the man. What exactly are they searching for?
Well, a very good evening to you and our viewers at home. The police have indeed put out an alert for the motorist who allegedly, drove through this group of about 16 cyclists. But they've also called on him to hand himself over to the police because they say they have his identity. The number plate of his vehicle is there on the scene. We were there earlier on and we saw the number plate ourselves. But also they said they visited his home address, but then he was not at home at the time. So the police know who this individual is and they just are giving him a chance to hand himself over. But not only that, they are also trying to find this individual. Remember, one cyclist has died, two were injured. So there are lots of questions to be asked in terms of was he under the influence when he drove into this influence of alcohol when he drove into this cyclist early this morning? And certainly one of the survivors of the accident that we spoke to suggests that the driver of the vehicle might have been under the influence. But we also understand that the passenger of this vehicle that ran into the cyclist was badly injured, and we do have some unconfirmed reports right now, and I must stress that it's not yet confirmed that the passenger has also passed on. And if indeed it turns out to be true, then that will take the fatalities of this accident into two. But that remains unconfirmed. But one cyclist has died. That is what is confirmed. Two are injured. Earlier we spoke to one of the survivors there. They've described the scene as horrific. They're saying that they had their visibility lights on, they had their visibility clothing on, and then they had suddenly the sound of this car moving at a very fast pace, running into them and just killing one of the cyclists. We were there on the scene, and we could just see that it was quite must have been a frightening experience for all that were involved in there.
And Sipho, how many cyclists were there in total, and what time of the day was it?
Yes, speaking to Chris Prinsloo, who was one of the cyclists at the time, who was obviously also riding out there very early in the morning, he described this. It says that as part of their club, that is the North Gauteng Cyclist Club, they normally do this type of rides on weekends or on long weekend or on holidays, and so certainly they went out as part of their normal rides this morning. He says that there were about 15 of them. It was in the early hours at around 6 a.m. and then he says that he was in the front and the guy that had died, the cyclist that had died, was at the back. So he says as he was leading this group of cyclists, that's when then he heard the noise, and he said this noise sounded like it was gunshots, and then he heard this noise of about that is the car then hitting the cyclist and obviously killing one of the guys that was at the back and injuring the two others. Even the person that we spoke to as well, Chris Prinsloo himself, who was right at the front, sustained some minor injuries. So it tells you the extent and perhaps the speed that this car must have been moving at to have been able to plow through a group of about 15 cyclist episode. So this happened around very early this morning, and of course the driver was not alone. He was with a passenger who we understand is critically injured, but now reports saying that the passenger could have died. But then the driver, after realizing what is done, he then ran on foot, leaving the scene. The cyclist, of course, suggests that the driver might have been under the influence of alcohol, but that has not yet been proven. The police are now looking for that driver of the vehicle.
His details are
known to the police. His number plate.
Have the police given him a deadline?
Given him a particular deadline, and police they have not yet given him a particular deadline, but the police are also not arresting. They are also actively looking for him. They visited his home, but they could not find him there.
All right, thanks a lot, Sipho Stuurman, our reporter there in Pretoria. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back shortly.